This Honourable for St. John City East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I feel compelled to note this is a budget debate.
Asthma attack, and also I did follow the entire debate though on the television yesterday, so there was no disrespect for the Parliament. I try my best to always be here for every sitting, especially the budget, and to sit through and to listen to all the speakers, Madam Speaker. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I rise today to make my contribution to the 2012 budget as presented by the Honourable Member for St. John City East, the Minister of Finance, on behalf of his UPP government, and as a result, Madam Speaker, of the collective wisdom, or perhaps should I say the lack of it, by members of the other side. Madam Speaker, you see, shortly after March 12, 2009, we were told by the Finance Minister, the Honourable Member for St. John City East, that Antigua and Barbuda's economic condition could be described as a Category 5 hurricane. A set of conditions, he said, seemingly were unpredictable, had conspired to take place and to put our economy in mortal danger, Madam Speaker. Last week also, we heard from the Honourable Prime Minister, the member for St. John's Rural West, that an economic collapse was imminent, Madam Speaker, in 2009. However, the Honourable Member said that we were saved by Venezuela's willingness to part with nearly US $50 million in aid to Antigua and Barbuda. That close we were, Madam Speaker. 2 years later now, on December the 5th, 2011, the hurricane has seemingly passed, for the budget is now captioned in language that declares it, and I quote, resolved to transform and determined to deliver. Transform how, I ask, Mr. Minister, and deliver what, Madam Speaker? Because the transformation of the fundamentals of the Antigua and Barbuda economy during the recent past began after March 2004, when the country moved from being a low-tax jurisdiction where we had no personal income tax for nearly 30 years to a high-tax jurisdiction. The reintroduction of personal income tax, Madam Speaker, or as it was called, the Stabilization Fund, which we were promised by the former Minister of Finance would be for only a short period of time, came within months of ascending to high office on March the 1st, 2005. However, Madam Speaker, prior to March of 2004, all of Antigua and Barbuda was told, by cutting out extravagance, cutting out waste, cutting out theft, a new UPP regime would accomplish every single goal set for itself and would be able to do even more with government revenues that totaled then about $450 million, Madam Speaker. But today, as we face 2012 and the government predicts revenues projected to exceed $700 million, the UPP regime has declared that even a near 100% increase over 2004 revenues will still not be enough. $700 million in revenues, Madam Speaker, are insufficient in 2012. Additionally, those of us on this side of the House get the clear impression that the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Member for St. John City East, is attempting to convey to the listening public and to the Antigua general citizenry at large that the challenges which his regime faces today were all created by the past Antigua Labour Party administration, prior to them coming to office in 2004. But you see, you raise taxes, Mr. Minister. You find more reasons then to spend more money, nearly twice as much as was spent by a former administration. And the hurtful outcome is created by an ALP administration. Incredible reasoning. It is true that we were negligent in paying external debt. It is true that we did give priority to keeping people at work and having near full employment. It is true that we were delinquent on certain suppliers. It is true that we were negligent in not paying in our mandatory contributions to Social Security. But, Madam Speaker, we kept the economy growing. We kept the economy growing year after year in the 1980s and in the 1990s. But, Madam Speaker, let me be clear here. The times are too tough in this country. The people are too hungry. Our institutions are too close to collapsing for me to engage in any esoteric analysis or point scoring in my presentation today. I'm not interested in that, Madam Speaker. As a result, I'm going straight to the concrete issues. The issues facing this country and the people of our beloved Antigua and Barbuda, every man, woman, and child, issues facing their very existence, their heart, their soul, their being. Madam Speaker, let us lay on the table certain fundamental facts which are indisputable. With your permission. Fact number one, Madam Speaker. Antigua and Barbuda experiences third year of consecutive negative growth, the worst performance in our history, including 500 years of slavery and colonialization. Fact number two, Madam Speaker. Antigua and Barbuda entered into an IMF structural adjustment program, a program designed to assist bankrupt governments who have no other options for surviving. Fact number three, Madam Speaker. Antigua and Barbuda failed the IMF program, resulting in IMF withholding the last drawdown of $20 million US. Fact number four, Madam Speaker. Social Security is bankrupt, spending out more than it's collecting, putting the people's pension in jeopardy. Fact number five, Madam Speaker. The government of Antigua and Barbuda lost its case on Half Moon Bay and now owes the company, I believe, close to 175 million EC dollars for that property. Fact number six. The UPP government owes Andrea Guterres over EC $60 million for unpaid sums for the runaway expansion project. Madam Speaker, did they tell this honorable House that the government in a sworn affidavit acknowledged this debt on an airport runaway project that was supposed to cost only $50 million US and now will cost nearly US $65 million to complete? A whopping cost overrun of US $15 million or close to EC $40 million? Fact number seven, Madam Speaker. Antigua and Barbuda is experiencing the most economic, severe pain ever experienced by the people of this country. Unemployment is at its highest. Business failure is at its highest. Credit access to the banks is at its toughest. Hunger, stress, desperation, child malnutrition, family fights are all reaching epidemic proportions never seen before in the history of this beloved country. Madam Speaker, I walk the length and breadth of this country. I hear the people cry. They complain, Madam Speaker. It has never been so bad. They sit in their lofty offices high up, Madam Speaker, and they are not on the ground no longer. Madam Speaker, this is the Antigua and Barbuda that we live in. This is the real Antigua where roads have become muddy swamps. And the member for Barbuda is pleased with the allocation that he receives. Well, light bills are so high now that many persons live in darkness. APUA having cutting them off for non-payment of the electricity bills. At the sole public hospital up there, Mount St. John Medical Center, our people die for what of basic need, basic care. They charge exorbitant fees. We're recovering from an illness now is a function of an individual's wealth, or rather, the roll of a dice. Madam Speaker, this is the state of Antigua and Barbuda. Fear stalks the land. Hunger stalks the land. Despair stalks the land. And the budget presentation by the government has made it worse. Madam Speaker, the government has no longer any credibility. Every plan they promised they've broken. They came to power on transparency, good governance, the trilogy of good governance legislation. Madam Speaker, they are dead. Reduced to empty campaign rhetoric to fool the people and use power as a passport to personal wealth. Where are the accounts? Where are the accounts, the audited accounts for the statutory bodies, for central government? We only see a few of them come here from time to time, Mr. Minister. Madam Speaker, no accounts for APUA for nearly 6 years. This government breaks the law with impunity. Now lawmakers become barefaced lawbreakers. That cannot be right. We have to set an example in this country, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, when this government seeks to use the sickening juvenile excuse that is the global economic conditions that is responsible for Antigua and Barbuda to be at the undertaker's door, I ask, so what is the solution, Madam Speaker? Stop the world? Stop the world from spinning? I want to get off. As Jim Reeves sang some years ago, make the world go away. Make the world go away. Madam Speaker, in all seriousness, it is time for this government to take responsibility for its actions and the destruction of the Antiguan economy. Let us start there. If we do not be honest with ourselves and accept what the problems are, if we do not accept the mistakes, the corruption, the waste, the incompetence, the errant stupidity, then we cannot ever start to solve our problems and change our ways. So, Madam Speaker, I and all my colleagues are not here to question this government about world conditions. You will hear throughout all the presentations, both in this House and in the upper House, a simple request of the government. Please account for the monies that you have made, the decisions you have made in spending, and the monies that you have collected. The missed opportunities, the opportunity loss, and the bad decisions made which have hurt this country and the people of the country. Madam Speaker, if we examine these questions in an objective manner, the UPP government has been a disaster and an embarrassment to common sense and good judgment. You see, Madam Speaker, when the personal income tax was introduced, the regime established certain bans in Section 10 of the first schedule of the income tax law. And certain income was not taxable. But the finance minister has now declared that you will be plugging the holes. And income which is currently exempt will become taxable in 2012. The regime will come back to Parliament in the new year, probably on the 7th anniversary of the reintroduction of personal income tax, to extract more tax